Kawasaki's Dean Wilson survived Southwick. Even the threat of a hurricane could not derail the likable Scotsman's charge to his first championship. Wilson comes to Steel City within reach of the coveted AMA title. Just 2 rounds remain in the 2011 250 campaign. Round 11 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is set to get underway from Delmont, Pennsylvania.
The motocross fans of Western Pennsylvania have gathered for the next to last round of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship in the 250 class. It's the Steel City National from Delmont, Pennsylvania. And we've got our first race already complete today. A big step forward for the championship for one rider. And it starts with a big step forward off the start. Dean Wilson, the number 15, is going to control it and grab your early lead. But he's under pressure from a rookie, Justin Bogle, Jeff.
Yeah, Justin Bogle on that Geico Honda got a third-place start, but then he really put the pressure on. Watch right here as Bogle tries to go around the outside of the points leader with the red plate. It's incredible aggression there from the rookie.
Trouble for Brock Tickle. That's Wilson's teammate. He would have some equipment problems. Wasn't able to finish that one. Similar trouble for Jimmy Dakotas. So this track doesn't care what brand or manufacturer is putting your bike together. Then we get a battle between the teammates.
Yeah, here, look at Eli Tomac, second-year rider, making his way around the rookie. And this was late in the moto there. It seemed like Tomac had just a little bit extra energy and fitness.
So Tomac on the 19 is going to just edge out the 891, his teammate, to take over second. But there was no catching Dean Wilson, who wins the first moto. He has that red number plate in the bike because he's your series points leader, and he's looking to extend that lead today. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Steel City. Of course, Jason Wygant and Jeff Emig, your 4-time AMA National Champion, here to break it down. Let's give you the big picture storylines that we're looking at as we come to Steel City. First, Dean Wilson. He's got momentum, looking good as far as the points are in the series. He could potentially even wrap it up today if his competitors falter just a little bit. And he's helped his own cause by winning the first moto at Steel City a little bit earlier. And his teammates, Tyler Rattray and Blake Baggett, finish a few positions further back. If that happens again here, Wilson will wrap up the title here at the next to last round. And he doesn't appear to be feeling the championship pressure at all, Jeff. He's been very relaxed the last couple of weeks. And the more relaxed he gets, the better he seems to ride.
Happy racer, happy rider, right? I mean,
right.
You know, when they when things are just going right and you're just flowing your turns, it just seems like that you can do no wrong. Dean Wilson put on a spectacular ride that first moto, and he's getting close. And like you said, he's not really thinking about it. He's just focusing on the task at hand. And for right now, it's the second moto. Get a good start and control the race, and you never know, he may wrap it up.
Yeah, and it's amazing he has this lead because just a few weeks ago, this title was too close to call. He's really pulled away from the pack late in the year. For more, let's send it down to Aaron Bates with a Progressive pre-race report.
Martin Davalos has been extremely insecure about his smile ever since the first lap of practice at Unadilla when a rock knocked out one of his front teeth. You'll take a look on his butt patch this weekend. It is a toothless smiley face. Martin has he's had to go in and get himself implant put in, but right now he's just got a temporary, and he told a pretty funny story this morning when yesterday at the Atlanta airport he took his retainer out to put his fake tooth on his lap, and when he stood up it ended up getting kicked around like a hockey puck down the Atlanta airport. Obviously he's cleaned it up, his smile is intact, he's having a little fun with it now that the damage is done.
That's not something that you count on. I mean, that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah, he had to. Wow. He was able to clean that thing off. So that's Martin, who had a tooth was knocked out by a rock at Unadilla. Here's your race breakdown. I'll show you exactly how it goes. We have 2 races, one that's already complete and one that's about to run, 40 riders in each. And then we total up the scores from both of those races to determine an overall winner for the day. And each race lasts 30 minutes and 2 laps. Riders look pretty relaxed down there at the line, but they're just kidding themselves because they've got a really rough track ahead of them. Let's give you the track map brought to you by Kawasaki's all-new KX450F, which is fully equipped and race ready. Jeff?
Long track here at Steel City. Clay, hard clay. I'm telling you, it's going to be hard packed in certain spots to put down a little bit of water again. It's going to be really slippery in others. There's these turning rhythm sections that they have to deal with. A lot of undulation here, a lot of uphill, downhill, and a tremendous amount of off-camber turns. And that's going to make it tough here, especially late here in the second moto. The track's going to be rough. Some of the ruts are going to be nasty. But overall, it's a really fun track, and the riders really like it here. Lap time up over 2.5 minutes.
That makes it one of the longer tracks this year. Here's what it looks like on board with another one of the new kids, Jeff.
Kyle Peters, DNA Shred Sticks Yamaha. This is earlier in the day in qualifying practice, and I can tell you the track does not look like this anymore. This is nice and moist, and it's got the mulch out there. It's pretty smooth here for Kyle in his first professional race ever. You can see him tiptoeing through the inside. This section is choppy and rutted all the way through over that Toyota truck's downhill jump. And I tell you, this is going to be Moto 2 for Peters. And he was 15th in the first Moto. His goal needs to be to put the Yamaha up inside the top 10 here in Moto 2.
It's his first pro race. He and Justin Bogle, who we mentioned earlier during our first Moto highlights, were supposed to make their debuts together a couple of weeks ago at Unadilla, but Peters had a back injury, so he took a few weekends off, and he's ready to go. Give us the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com keys to the race here, Jeff.
Yeah, well, this can apply to everyone. Get the start. Get out there. Make life easy. Traction control, you got to be good with the throttle. You got to shift at the right times, not rev the bike out too much on those off cambers. And fitness, it is hot and it is humid. I mean, we go outside of our air-conditioned booth here, and it's like, it's going to be a tough second moto. And Dean Wilson wants to wrap up this championship. He needs to get that start and control the race, just like he did in Moto 1, where he led wire to wire.
If he wins this one and Rattray on the 28 and the 57 at Baggett finish out of the top 3, I believe that will be enough for him to wrap it up. We'll keep tabs on it throughout this race to see if Wilson can lock up his first major professional championship right here, or see if it'll go down to our finale next weekend all the way in the left coast in California. But first, let's go racing in Pennsylvania. Start about to get started. They're pushing and shoving. I think it's the KTM of Marvin Musquian, who's got the whole shot and bumping around with Wilson on the 15.
Wilson was second. Now he's first. Your points leader back out front once again.
He's definitely feeling it. Musquian is now in a second. And is that another Geico Honda with a good start? Yes, but it's Eli Tomac who has not been the rider of that team getting the good start. Seems like every other rider on that team has started up front besides him. He is third.
1110 Mods have Alex Martin represented. He's in fourth.
Remember what Martin did last week? Had a good start like this and led for a while. He's up with the leaders again. Then you got 35 of Kyle Cunningham. And I think it's Rattray coming through as well. But your leader is Dean Wilson, putting himself right where he wants to be.
It looks like Baggett is the second pro circuit rider, and 2 positions behind him is Rattray.
Wow, okay, so Rattray even further back. Here is Tomac taking the measure of Musquian. So Tomac, I'm sure he wants to prove that he can run with those Kawasaki's. He would love to get a moto win.
Well, if Tomac can nab the moto win, that would give him the overall. He was second in Moto 1.
Good point.
Okay, and Pro Circuit Kawasaki has won every overall this season. Up until last week, they had won every moto. Just an incredible performance for the team. But you know, the competition here between the Geico Honda and the Monster Energy Kawasaki, it's intense, okay? And Tomac has been struggling all year. He's been off the pace of the leader, but today he seems fired up. Is this the day where Honda finally beats the Kawasaki's?
No excuses. Tomac's where he wants to be, able to challenge Wilson. You think they watered that section?
Short line.
He goes to the inside. I didn't think that was going to work.
Whoa.
Tomac might have the pass made, and he does. So Tomac passes your series points leader and first moto winner. He didn't care about momentum or statistics. He just wants to win.
Well, and what Tomac has on his side is that Wilson, it's not a do-or-die situation. He doesn't have to win this moto, okay? So he doesn't have to necessarily, you know, go for broke in this. And so if I'm Tomac, I'm going to take advantage of that, right? I'm going to ride him hard if I have to, you know. But that was a great pass by Eli. He really, it looked like he made a little mistake going into that section, but took the short line, and it worked for him.
Hey, you mentioned the rivalry between these two teams, the Honda boys and the Kawasaki guys. So you don't think it's lost on Tomac that that team is yet to win a race this year? He knows the mission right now.
You know, I spoke with their team manager, Mike LaRocco, before the race today, and he spoke about how he's moving back to California. They know that there's some issues that they have to address and some things that they're working on. And when it comes to hard work and dedication, they have a leader there with Mike LaRocco that, I mean, this guy's multi-time motocross champion. I mean, he's definitely an ally for their team.
I'm happy to hear that you and LaRocco are on speaking terms.
Yeah, of course.
The whole racing rivalry, that's all done, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Wilson. Rivalry is still brewing here between these two. He wants to get Tomac back. We got a good race going on.
Well, that's not to say if we got on the line that it would
go right back
up.
Okay.
Racers are racers, Weege. Okay?
All right, so that's the deal with Wilson and Tomac right now. It's the next generation of LaRocco and Emig battling for the #1 spot here at Steel City. This is what they call the Sky Coaster, a bunch of double jumps winding up and down a hill.
Hey, you know, I know we're only one lap into this race, and there's a lot of racing to go, but I was on the same flight as Tomac when we flew into the Pittsburgh airport. When we landed, the pilot says, and the time is 2:43. And I look back at Eli's dad, John, because 2:43 was his amateur number. And we all kind of looked at each other like, oh.
Good omen.
Is that an omen?
Maybe.
You never know.
In fact, he's pulling away a little bit from Wilson right now. So apparently when Wilson landed, they did not say the time is 15. It doesn't work that way. Maybe on military time. But you're right, Wilson has to think about this. He doesn't need to beat Tomac as far as the points. The championship is the big picture. And you know he wants to win the race. So what's the strategy here if you're Wilson in second? Are you happy with this or not?
Ride smart.
You're going to stay focused on the title. All right, these fans are getting to hang out in the Traxxas area, getting to see what these machines can do off the track as we watch what these dirt bikes can do on it. Stay with us here at Steel City. Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world. By the 2011 Toyota Tundra, one of the most capable half-tons ever. And by RockyMountainMC.com, your one-stop shop for parts, apparel, and accessories. RockyMountainMC.com. Get ready. Well, Eli Tomac has taken this race by storm. It's the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship from Steel City in Pennsylvania. We expected Tomac to be winning races and running up front all season long. It has not panned out that way. He's way back in the series standings, eliminated from championship contention, but now finally starting to feel it. Dean Wilson is second, and here's another rider that we thought would be a contender all year long. Marvin Muscat, the Frenchman, who won a bunch of titles in Europe before moving over to the U.S. this year. Unfortunately, his series has been interrupted by a broken thumb. Now that he's back, well, he's back up front. How about Alex Martin? What a run this kid has had as of late, the privateer.
Well, yeah, he always has a great ride at Millville, which is his home track. His family owns the track. And then last week at Southwick, in the sand, he has a great ride. And then the question was, okay, on those two sandy-type tracks, he's got it. But how can he perform on a hard pack track that's really rutted? A totally different track. I mean, just a totally 180. And here in the second moto, he's got a great start. He was 10th in the first moto, which is a great ride. Now he runs 4th in this one. That could put him in the top 5, possibly in the overall.
We'll see how long he can hold it, because Blake Baggett is all over him here. And Baggett needs to move forward. He's got to try to find some way to get to Wilson. Although, I don't know if that's going to happen. Baggett still unable to make the pass. I'll tell you what, you can't help but cheer for Alex Martin, one of the nicest kids out there. And of course, we know well the story this year of this team, 1110 Mods. Very low budget operation, not much support. Although they did get some help today. Oh, Baggett comes off the motorcycle. And the machine nearly getting run over. He's in a very precarious spot at the landing of a jump.
Looks like he's all right. There's his, actually Wilson's a mechanic looking on, all of the pro circuit riders, but this is going to be devastating for Blake Baggett in the championship chase. It's going to put him way back right now. Try to get an idea of where he's at when we see another rider.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, he's certainly dropped out of the top 10. That's a 2:45 of Lance Vincent. And we're thinking around 15th or so. So yeah, devastating. That might officially eliminate Baggett from the championship mathematically going this far back.
Well, the good thing is that he's all right. It looks like the bike didn't get banged up too bad, and he's back on the charge. But boy, that's going to be frustrating.
Just strange how the second half of this series has gone for Baggett. About midway through, he was the man to beat in this tour with a bunch of wins, but then things have been going like this.
Watch this. He hits that Rockstar, that banner right there. He got too far to his left, and he didn't just clip it with the left-hand handlebar. I mean, he plowed into it, and that's because, once again, like I spoke at the top of the show about the off cambers on this track and how you're always fighting. You're on the edge of the tire and you're always fighting against the camber. And he faded too far to the left before that double. He's lucky that he got off easy because you could go flying through the air right there. And this hard clay, it has no cushion when you hit the ground without the bike.
Yeah, impressive that Baggett's machine or himself did not incur any damage. So he's able to start working his way forward again. And earlier in the year, like I was saying, we were calling him the El Chupacabra. He put it back in 15th place, no problem. He would just pass his way through. Here he is making a move on Vincent. Here's another look at the crash.
Yeah, watch right here. He gets wide, and you can tell he sees the track, but that Rockstar thing was it's about 3 feet off of the lip, right? So he's focused on, look at the bottom corner right there where the riders are going off. Rattray went off the same line, but he was leaned to his right. Okay. Well, Baggett was stood up going through that same line, and that big can there was in the way.
Wow. The can, though, able to survive.
Yeah.
Solid. Thought we might have an explosion of Rockstar energy drink.
The battle's not just between the riders, but it's the Rockstar and the Monster going after it.
Let's see who Baggett's closing in on now. That's Ryan Sipes right in front of him. Hey, here are your leaders. Dean Wilson hanging around. And you see Bones Bacon there of his Pro Circuit team cheering him on. Wilson still has a shot at this one.
Jason, he's not just hanging around. He just turned the fastest lap of the moto. Wilson did. 2:31.8 to Tomac's 2:32.4.
Check out the championship scenario at the top of the screen. We've done some math. If it ends like this, Tyler Rattray will be exactly 51 points behind Dean Wilson. That's the magic number. Wilson needs a 51-point lead to wrap up the title today. And if it ended like this, that's exactly what he would have. And he would have the #1 plate as your new 250 class champion. But I don't think he's thinking about titles right now. He just wants to try to get back past Eli Tomac and take the win. This is a great race here in Steel City. And Tyler Rattray all over Alex Martin, trying to make moves, trying to put his machine up toward the podium. And Rattray, whoa.
That looked familiar.
Somewhat, but there was a difference when Ryan Filippo made that pass on a 450. I don't think the green bike went onto the green grass. Martin's not happy about it. He's trying to come back.
As he should. He's putting in a great ride. That's going to put him back to 5th.
Whoa, we got a change for the lead. Dean Wilson has passed Eli Tomac, and we saw as we were going to break, he was closing back in. So something has changed here on the midway point of this moto, and Tomac is losing speed here, not nearly as aggressive through this section as he was earlier.
Yeah, Wilson was 0.8 of a second quicker than Tomac that last lap around, and you can tell now he's got that mojo working.
Yeah, and just more of an enigmatic season for Tomac. We were waiting for him to catch fire. It looked like he finally had, and now Wilson has extinguished it. We'll see if he can hang with him.
So, did Dean Wilson land in Pittsburgh at 1:15?
That's gonna because if it ends like this, well, how about that? Rattray just made up 2 points by making that move on Martin, but Wilson just made up 3 by passing Tomac for the lead. So Wilson's still in championship position. On September 22nd, Barrett Jackson, the collector car event that makes the automotive dreams come true, returns to Sin City. So see the finest, rarest, most amazing cars on the planet, all in one place and all up for grabs. Live coverage from Vegas begins September 22nd at 4 Eastern, exclusively on Speed. So Tomac going to try to stay with Wilson and remount the charge, but the way Wilson caught him and passed him, I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but we haven't quite been able to figure out Tomac this entire season.
Still a great ride. I mean, he's putting in a solid ride, and I mean, halfway through this moto, if he can regroup right here, if Wilson makes any sort of mistake, the 19 of Eli Tomac, he could be in the position to win the overall here. Also, look at the names across the top there. That's your running order, and Baggett is only in 13th after that big crash. It seemed like he was on the ground forever.
Send it down to Aaron for a report on Tomac.
Well, guys, like I said before, he is one of those guys that said it's nothing but revenge showing up here today. He said that after Redbud's crash and after suffering from some heat exhaustion throughout the summer, he just has not been himself. Last weekend when he showed up, he said he was prepared, he was ready to win. That didn't happen with 2 bad motos last weekend. It was all about revenge coming in, and I think we're seeing him demonstrate that now.
Yeah, he's still close there, and it's only 1.7 seconds the difference between Tomac and Wilson. And it's funny how quickly the roles reverse in this game. Coming into this motocross tour from Supercross, Tomac nearly won a championship, and Wilson struggled a little bit in comparison. So a lot of people thought, including myself, that maybe Tomac was the favorite. The very first moto of the year, Tomac got the whole shot, started to pull away. Thought that was going to be a sign of things to come, and Dean Wilson reeled him in, passed him, and took the moto win. And since then, Tomac has been trying to replicate that, trying to figure out a way to get back up front. He was for a moment here, but Wilson has overtaken him again.
I'll tell you, when a guy is just in that mode like Wilson's in right now, it's just, they're just so hard to beat. He's riding so fluid and just flawless right now, and he just seems to carry his momentum. You know, Aaron mentioned how Tomac is like revenge, and it's like, oh, I want this so bad. And it's kind of hard in that because your mind isn't flowing, things aren't free. But for Wilson, it's the exact opposite. I mean, he looks great again this moto.
So Tomac, he's still there. Like we said, it's less than 2 seconds. If Wilson makes a mistake, Eli could get him back. And the championship hangs in the balance. If Tomac can pass Wilson back, then Wilson may not have enough points to wrap up the title today. So a lot of racing left, and we'll also be burning up some calculators here as we keep track of the championship chase. Pro Circuit mechanics, they're trying to figure the math out as well. Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Progressive Insurance, #1 in motorcycle insurance. Motocross riders tearing up this Steel City facility. Next to last round of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Myself and Jeff Emming and Aaron Bates have been breaking down and analyzing the way this track has changed throughout the day, but let's let the riders talk about it.
Steel City, another one of my favorites. It's dirt's a lot like home, and I feel like the track flows good and it's fun, and it's something you can do for 35 minutes and not get bored.
Everybody seems to go really fast there. It's just, for some reason, just everybody goes fast.
I like that track. Had the turn doubles. That was one of my favorites. I don't know, it's almost like a little Supercross. You know, you double and then you turn again and double.
The one double going into the turn, like you have to like land with your foot out. That one's a cool double, and then yeah, those tabletops too are fun. You know, they're really floaty.
It's pretty crazy, and it's a really different track, but it's fun to ride.
Obviously, it gets a really rocky surface, you could say.
You know, it's one of those tracks when it rains there, it's slick. It's really slick.
As long as it doesn't rain, it's good. But if it rains, it's like riding on snot.
And a battle going on here on this track that didn't have any rain put down on it, so it wasn't super slippery. Brock Tickle battling it out right now with Justin Bogle to try to get inside the top 5. He's his 6th at the moment. Tickle, there's been 3 riders on the Pro Circuit team that have been winning all the races that are dominating the series, and then there's Tickle, who already got a title earlier this year in Supercross, but has just not had things go his way in motocross, Jeff.
Yeah, and he had a DNF in the first moto. Not sure what happened, but I think it's hard to come back after you don't finish the moto to come back and put in a strong ride, but he is at this point. I mean, he's up to 6th, turning pretty good lap time at 36, and everybody else around him is 3 or 4 seconds a lap slower than that. So Tickle strong here late in this moto.
And with or without a front tooth, Martin Davalos running well here in the #7 spot. We mentioned at the top of the show, he actually had a rock hit him in the face a couple of weeks ago at a race at Unadilla and knocked a tooth out. And he's just persevering through the pain, even finished that moto.
Well, and then the replacement tooth almost got lost in the airport, right? Yeah. So that's...
Sure, that thing was not quite germ-free. Whoa, whoa.
He's missing the turn here. Didn't even make a very strong effort.
Yeah.
That could be a, you know, one of those advanced moves right there.
Missing teeth, okay. Missing turns, not as acceptable. We'll see if there's a ruling on that later. There is a Baggett who's worked his way forward. He has gotten around Bogle. Talk about this kid. The rookie has shown great speed here in his 3rd pro race ever. hasn't been able to maintain that speed all the way to the end, but there's a big transition to racing, much longer races as a pro, and I would think also more intense as well. I mean, these guys are going to push you every minute.
Yeah, he's way off the pace right now. He was at 2:47, you know, a good 10 to 12 seconds off that lap. I'm not sure something's not a matter either with him or the bike there.
And Kyle Cunningham had a great string going of fourth place finishes, have been very consistent through the mid part of this tour. Had a rough one at Southwick last week with a couple of crashes. Inside the top 10 here, trying to rebuild the effort.
Yeah, and Cunningham's actually fourth in points, so he's the first non-pro circuit Kawasaki rider in the championship.
And next in line, I believe, is Jason Anderson. You talk about rebuilding the effort. This was the super hyped rookie at the beginning of this year. They thought he would be up there, maybe winning races like Eli Tomac did last year, like Justin Barcia did the year before. It hasn't worked. I talked to Anderson this morning. I said, "Are you feeling better?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "What's the difference?" And he said, "I've never heard a rider admit this." He said, "At the beginning of the year, I was a head case." But he was a head case. It was past tense. He was apparently past that. He has, the last 3 rounds, including this one, started to hover closer to the top 10, starting to turn things around. But when the standard is set like Tomac did last year by winning his first race, it's a tough one to live up to. Cole Seeley, who we heard from earlier, talking about this track on the Lucas Oil Troy Lee Honda. And Seeley, it seems like anyone who had a great light Supercross campaign has struggled outdoors. I don't understand that. But Seeley won a bunch of races. Tickle obviously a title. Tomac won some races. Justin Barcia won the East Coast title. Not even in this 250 class any longer. Was struggling, and they just decided to move him to another class altogether. What's up with that? Yeah, you can tell Seeley right now. He looks a little fatigued at this point. We still have 6.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go, and I think the heat and humidity has got to some of these riders here today. Yeah, you can tell by the posture of him and Bogle and some others. It's tough, but not that aggressive. This is arguably the most physically enduring sport of all, so I guess we should cut him a break. Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Kawasaki and the all-new 2012 KX450F, fully equipped and race ready. Well, Dean Wilson pulling away now. 7.3 seconds is the gap between himself and Eli Tomac, and this could just be enough to not only win the race today, but also wrap up the championship. And I know I've said this about 5 times already. I cannot believe someone is in position to wrap this title up a race early. This title fight was so close just a few weeks ago. Yeah, it certainly was. And I tell you, Dean Wilson, he came here to Steel City fully equipped and race ready. Ah, nice. Ready to lock down this title. That early moto charge by Eli Tomac looked like he might get the overall, get it done, but Wilson responded almost with relative ease. He's just riding flawlessly. And for Dean to be his first major professional championship, it would certainly not be the first for his team, who ever since they switched over to these 4-stroke bikes, I think they've won, this would be 5 out of 7 championships for them. And it keeps their undefeated streak in the races going. Overalls, yeah. Overalls, yeah. They did lose a moto last week, but they have won all 10 overalls in all 10 rounds this year, and they're looking to go 11 out of 11. And let's go back 1 week to when Dean Wilson's bike was spewing out all that coolant. Oh, good point. Right? Yes. And what could have been if the motorcycle had not made it to the checkered flag? It was easily 3 laps that the bike had to run without that. You know, at times with other bikes and other manufacturers this year, the bike has not made it through for the rider. And it just seems like when things are going your way, you know, I mean, yeah, and it's going his way. It's going his way now, yeah, and maybe that's the difference between he and Tomac in this moto. Wilson's just riding the mojo. Now, Wilson did know that today could be the day to win the championship, and we had a chance to talk to him earlier about wrapping up that title.
As of right now, I mean, it's pretty hard not to think about the championship. We're definitely getting closer, 2 rounds away, and you know, I'm still going to stick to my plan. That's what's been working for me. You know, just go moto by moto, and hopefully, you know, make it happen.
Well, he's on the way to doing that.
Yeah, so Dean's doing everything that he needs to do, and that's go win the race. You can do no more. The difference is Tyler Rattray, who sets second in points, he needs to get to third place. The problem is that Marvin Mousquin from France is about, let's call it 10 seconds in front of him and appears to be pulling away even. So Rattray, if he wants to keep this thing going and have any chance, which it's a long shot at this point, right, he's got to pass Marvin and get up into third, but time is running out. 1 minute, and next time around, Dean Wilson will get the 2-lap board and then the white flag, and then you start to think. Then it starts to hit you.
So you've been here at this track.
I'm at this track, and when you make that final turn, I'm telling you, if he wraps this thing up, if the points work out here, and he makes that final left-hander and looks at that checkered flag, it's going to be a huge moment for Dean.
And what a relief, because last year we saw what could happen at the finale. If it goes down to the last round, bad things can happen. Christophe Pourcel had a little bit of a points lead going into the finale last year and crashed out. Trey Canard ended up taking the title. So Wilson knows the difference between having a 49-point lead at the end of the day and having to race next week, and having a 51-point lead and not having to is massive. So Wilson possibly headed to his first career championship. This will be a big one, so don't go anywhere. Fuel your passion for motorcycle racing with Speed Motorcycle Text Alerts powered by Yamaha. Get the latest motor racing results and breaking news as soon as they become available, sent right to your phone. Just text MOTO, that's M-O-T-O, to SPEED and the number 3. SPEED 3 for the alerts. Do it now. You'll get the alerts after this race. Dean Wilson on the verge of a championship here, and Jeff, you know firsthand, in this sport, you cannot make it on your own. You can maybe pick up a basketball and go down to the court by yourself as a kid, or a baseball bat, or a football. To get a dirt bike to the track, you need some help from mom and dad. Here's Rattray, the guys chasing him points, may come up a few spots short. Talk about the family effort, by the way, for the Wilsons, and for Rattray as well, to get to this level.
Yeah, I mean, every one of these riders has been supported by their parents to race the sport of motocross. And I can tell you, you know, we're a lap and a half away from Dean wrapping up his first professional title. And when we're in the break, I started thinking about it, you know, thinking about 1992 when I was able to win this class, won it in the final race, and what it meant to my family. And I, you know, thinking about all of the hard work and the sacrifice. I mean, for Wilson, his family came from Scotland. Yep. They go to Canada, he races there, then they finally make their way to the United States. And it's not just the rider, it's the team and everybody, you know, around them that sacrifices and works hard. Dean's mom and dad, very, very involved, you know, in his racing. And I mean, the title, it's going to say Dean Wilson, but it's the Wilson family. It's that effort. And that is just such a cool part, is to be able to share all of this with those people that are close to you. And on the first one, it is very much a payoff for all of the sacrifice, financially, time, personal, all that stuff that the family has put into it for their son.
Yeah, they are there every step of the way as we head into the last lap. His mom's here at every race. His dad is here at most of them. And they are a great family and a hilarious family to talk to. Aaron, you've gotten to hang out with them throughout the year down in the pit area. They're a great group.
They're definitely a great family. In fact, I was just taking a look for them and come to find out they're not here this weekend.
What?
They are driving, believe it or not, from Chad Reed's house all the way to Pala to be there for next weekend in case he's to win this championship. It's a very sad deal, but they'll be very excited to know that he'll take this home.
Somebody stop him. Get on the brakes. Halt it.
Yeah, once again, in '92 when I won my first title, I chose not to have my father, brother, sister, anyone there. I wanted it to be business as usual. As you know, I was locked up in a serious battle. Whoa, Wilson takes a quick ride. I was locked up in a serious battle with Mike LaRocco, and I needed to be focused, okay, just like Mitch Payton is right here.
Yeah, he's the owner of the team, yep.
But I can tell you, the parents, obviously, they're going to be on Twitter, on text, cell phones, everything. And once he hits this checkered flag, once he gets to make that call,
And, you know,
pretty cool.
You look at Mitch Payton over there, you know, you think of a lot of dynasties in motorsports. In the motocross terms, I don't think you can argue this is the most successful team. Over 200 victories for this team over the last 20 years, which is crazy. That's 10 a year. There's Mitch right there in the foreground. And, you know, he's, you know, Rick Hendricks dominating NASCAR racing the last couple of years. All the titles of Jimmy Johnson or what Roger Penske has done in IndyCar racing. This is essentially the equivalent of that in motocross. And what's interesting about that team, that is an aftermarket performance shop. They don't just build these team bikes. If you have a Suzuki or a Honda or a KTM or a Yamaha, they'll build bikes for you. And a lot of the other teams, including that Geico Honda team, leans on Pro Circuit to build their bikes. And although it does seem strange, why would you have your engines built by the team you're trying to race? Often there is no better alternative. Pro Circuit, you know they're going to give you great stuff. Now, the last 2 years, they've been upset. They nearly won the title with Christophe Pourcel, but he just missed it. Ryan Dungey got it in 09, and Trey Canard got it in 2010, but they are going to lock it down, not just first, but second and third in the series, and they've already clinched that with a race to go. But here it is, folks. Dean Wilson's long journey from Scotland through Canada to the United States and to the American Motocross Tour is about to conclude with his first career championship. You hear the crowd come to life. How could you not salute this kid? One of the nicest riders in the game, a fun guy to talk to, and now your 2011 250 motocross champion. This all, of course, unofficial, as you see at the top of the screen, depends on where Tomac, Musquian, and Rattray end up. But we believe if Rattray does finish fourth, that will be the difference in the series. And those riders are still headed toward the finish line. I think it's over.
Marvin Musquian was third.
And you hear Wilson revving the bike out, coming down in his mechanic, Paul Parabinos, and Chad Reed, who's the man who helped train Wilson the last couple of weeks down in his house in Florida. They have got the championship. Dean Wilson has arrived in American motocross, and we will talk to our champion when we come back. And a victory lap here for Dean Wilson, who has won the race and the championship in the 250 class of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Let's give you your Lucas Oil race recap and show you how Wilson was able to get the job done. Off the start, Marvin Musquin, the Frenchman, on the 125 KTM, the number 125, gets the lead, but quickly Wilson goes to the number 1 spot, and you're thinking, well, he's points leader. He won the first race earlier today. He's going to check out, right? No. Challenge to the number 19 of Eli Tomac on the Honda.
And watch Eli. He's got the short line. And watch this effort right here. He's going for it and just sneaks around the inside of Dean Wilson.
So Tomac's got the lead, and Wilson, worried about the championship, we thought he might back it down a little bit. And then Blake Baggett hits something on the side of the track. It goes down, and that would essentially drop him far enough back to eliminate him from title contention. His teammate Tyler Rattray could only get to 4th. And that would be the difference, especially with this. Wilson remounting an attack on Tomac to steal the lead. And from there, he would pull away from the number 19. And with the race win and the 4th place finish from Rattray and Baggett even further back than that, that's enough points for Dean Wilson to clinch the 2011 title.
And how fitting is it that Dean Wilson, who had trouble winning the overalls earlier in the championship, wins the overall here today, dominated it, and locks down the title.
Yeah, so Erin Bates is down there, and we'll talk to her in a second as they assemble the championship celebration, which we never thought would happen early. This title was so close, but what Wilson was able to do when the pressure was on is actually relax and have more fun, and he's down with Erin Bates.
All the hard work, dedication, preparation, it all paid off for Dean Wilson. And to present the honors of the 2011 AMA 250 Motocross Plate is AMA's Kevin Crowther.
Thank you, Aaron. Congratulations, Dean, to you and your team on an outstanding season. It gives me great pleasure on behalf of the AMA MX Sports Pro Racing to present you with the 2011 Lucas Oil 250 class #1 plate. Congratulations.
Dean Wilson taking it all in. The crowd is going crazy, grinning ear to ear. But Dean, this morning, you didn't really want to even talk about the championship. You wanted to put it in the back of your mind and go out and do what you knew how to do. You executed that. What does it mean to pull this off today?
Oh, it's just unbelievable. This I'm not lying when I say this. This is a dream come true. I've literally slept and dreamed about this, and oh man, I'm so happy. I'm so emotional. I mean, this is just crazy, and I just want to dedicate this one to my papa out in Scotland, and my mom and dad. They can't be here. I'm really, really upset they're not here, but they're driving my motorhome back from Chad Reed's right now to get it back to California. You know, they're doing it all for me, and the whole team, Monster Energy Pro Circuit, Kawasaki, Thor, Dunlop, Parts Unlimited, Toyota Escondido, Bones, our suspension guy, Mitch. Oh man, there's so many. My mechanic Paul, Sam, he's helped me out so much. This is just unbelievable and the best feeling ever, and I hope this isn't the last one because it just feels way too good. Thank you, everybody.
A lot of support behind Dean Wilson to take home the 2011 250 Motocross Championship plate.
That is awesome. Jason, that is such an amazing feeling, and it's like you've worked so hard through the amateur career and now in your pro career to get to this point, and looking over all that ocean of fans and photographers. It's cool, man.
Check out your Toyota moving forward schedule. We have one race left from Pala, and we'll cover it all live. Our first motos at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fuel TV, and then we'll have an hour break and be back live on Speed at 7 p.m. Eastern for our second motos. So join us for the big championship celebrations next week.
The 2011 season rolls on next week from Pala Raceway in California. Join us 1 week from today for 2 hours of live coverage of round 12 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Jason, Jeff, and Aaron have their bags packed and are ready for all the drama that only a season finale can bring. Don't run away just yet. When we come back, we put a bow on our coverage from Steel City.
Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world. And by the 2011 Toyota Tundra, one of the most capable half-tons ever. Welcome back to Steel City. Let's show you the results here of this race at this the next to last round of the tour. A big one because it allowed Dean Wilson to wrap up the title, as you saw before we went to break. Here are those results in this moto. Eli Tomac second. Great run again. Marvin Musquian on the podium. And that's also where Aaron Bates is. Aaron?
Heat and humidity has been something that has made Eli Tomac struggle so far this season, but Eli, you overcame it today. How deep did you have to dig to make this happen?
That's pretty much the key that's been missing, I guess, is digging extra deep. Yeah, I've had a couple rough weeks there. You know, I've had a podium here and there, you know, then a bad race here and there, but it's definitely nice. It feels like I'm getting the ball rolling just towards the end of the whole thing. But I want to say congrats to Dean on an awesome season and my whole Geico Honda Fox team. Thanks.
Great job today. And Marvin Musquin making your way 2 times in a row. You're up here. Take us through your day and how excited you are to be up on the podium.
My goal before this weekend with my trainer and the team is to finish on the podium. But on the podium there is 1, 2, and 3. But finish 3, it's pretty good, and I feel awesome. And like I said, first moto, it was really, really humid today and pretty warm. But I stay strong and focused on my line. I rode really smooth today, and I got a all-shot second moto. And I would like to thank again the Red Bull KTM team. And they did the great job, and my bike is awesome. And thanks to all my sponsors, Oakley, Lead Brace, Aero, and everybody in Europe, in France. Bye-bye.
Let's give you the overall results here. As you saw, Tomac and Musquian make the math very easy for us. Rattray and Swanepoel, the South Africans, round out the top 5. Here are your point standings heading into our finale. The 52-point lead is enough for Wilson to have this title on lock. But we're still going to race next weekend, and we still want you to watch. And remember, September 11th, the NFL regular season begins on with the Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. First, the Falcons take on the Bears in Chicago as 2 of the NFC's best go head-to-head. Then it's the Giants taking on the Redskins in D.C. or other regional action. Coverage begins Sunday, September 11th with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL pregame show at noon Eastern. We've got one more race in this series. Join us next week live from Pala. For Aaron Bates and Jeff Emig, I'm Jason Wygant. Congrats to Dean Wilson.